Welcome to the McNees Intellectual Property Podcast Series. This podcast will address false advertising claims for brewers and distillers by Brian Gregg, attorney at law. Mr. Gregg practices in the intellectual property and food and beverage groups at McNees.
As the craft beer and craft spirits industries continue their rapid growth, brewers and distillers are searching for ways to help their products stand out. Often products are advertised based on their ingredients, their geographic source, or means of manufacturing. These claims have garnered increased scrutiny, and as a result, brewers and distillers have found themselves facing false advertising claims. This trend is likely to continue. Here's a few examples of the kind of claims that have been challenged. Fifth Generation, maker of popular Tito's vodka, was the subject of multiple class action lawsuits over its claim that its products are handmade. The plaintiffs in those cases argued that Tito's vodka is not handmade, but rather produced at large industrial facilities using neutral grain spirits manufactured off-site. Last year, Anheuser-Busch agreed to settle a class action suit over allegations that it advertised its Beck's brand beer as being made in Germany when it's actually made in St. Louis, Missouri. The plaintiffs in that case argued that Beck's packaging induced customers to pay more for the product because they thought it was imported. The packaging displayed phrases like originating in Germany and German quality. Miller Coors, which is the parent company of the maker of Blue Moon beer, successfully defended a suit in which the plaintiff argued consumers were misled by the use of claims craft beer and artfully crafted on Blue Moon packaging. Plaintiffs argued that Blue Moon is not craft beer. Each of these cases contains lessons for craft brewers and distillers. And while larger organizations were the focus of these plaintiffs' claims, craft brewers and distillers should be paying attention. The basic rules of advertising law are that advertisers, and that includes product labeling, must be truthful, not misleading, and the advertiser must be able to substantiate any reasonable consumer interpretation of the claims. Note that that does not mean the specific claim the advertiser intended, but any reasonable interpretation, even if that's not what the advertiser meant. So for example, the makers of Beck's intended to play up its German heritage, but consumers argued they thought the beer was actually imported from Germany because of the way those claims were made. Fortunately, there are steps an advertiser can take to reduce this risk. To protect themselves from costly litigation, brewers and distillers can take these 4 steps. First, drive a clear message. Lawsuits spring from ambiguity, and there are countless perceptions that messages might convey to individual consumers. Clarity gives potential plaintiffs fewer opportunities to argue they've been misled. So for example, if a distillery wants to promote that its product is handmade, it can reduce the risk of a misunderstanding if it tells more of the story about how its products are made by hand. Second, reevaluate regularly. A brewer that started with a 10-barrel system but now has a massive ultra-modern facility, maybe financed with venture capital funding or cash from a larger brewery, may need a marketing claims reality check. New product launches are a time to consult with legal counsel, not just on trademarking, but also on advertising claims. Third, know your geography. Anheuser-Busch learned the hard way that there's a fine line between promoting heritage and making a geographic origin claim. Producers should avoid casually tossing around geographic terms. Even a slight change from something like Belgian beer to Belgian-style beer might be enough to clarify a claim and avoid inviting a lawsuit. Remember that symbols such as the American flag or the outline of a country send signals for consumers to interpret or misinterpret about geography. Fourth, consult attorneys who specialize in trademarks and false advertising claims before you commit to a brand or put an advertising claim on your product. Make sure your work is vetted by people who can spot the dangers. With a little forethought, brewers and distillers can successfully promote their products while limiting the risk of drawing a false advertising claim. To learn more about this topic, contact me using the information on the following screen.